I cracked open 9 cartons of eggs labeled organic last week, laid them all out side by side on my counter, and the yolk color alone told me almost everything I needed to know before I ever looked at a single label. Some were a deep, almost orange gold. Others were the same pale, washed-out yellow you'd get from a hen that's never seen a blade of grass in her life, despite every one of those cartons carrying the same green USDA organic seal on the front. My name's Volter. I farm for a living, and I keep my own hens, so I know exactly what a yolk looks like when a bird's been eating bugs and greens off real pasture versus a bird that spent its whole life on formulated grain feed indoors. What I found digging into how these cartons actually get that organic label surprised even me, and it's not really about the eggs themselves. It's about a loophole that's been sitting in plain sight in federal regulation for years. Here's a rule you need to understand before anything else, because it changes how you'll read every egg carton from now on. The word organic on a carton legally refers primarily to what the hen was fed, organic grain, no synthetic pesticides, no antibiotics, no added hormones. It does not on its own guarantee the hen ever set foot on actual grass, dirt, or pasture. For years, federal organic rules required outdoor access, but never clearly defined how much space that access needed to include, and that gap turned into one of the most exploited loopholes in the entire organic food industry. Here's what I found when I actually looked into where these cartons come from. First, Cal-Maine Foods, the single largest egg producer in the United States, supplying a huge share of the organic eggs sold under retail store brands nationwide. Investigative reporting and a formal lawsuit against Walmart, which sold Cal-Maine's organic eggs under its market side label, documented that the company's Kansas facility housed hundreds of thousands of hens in massive multi-level barns with the only outdoor access being screened, roofed concrete porches attached to the buildings. The lawsuit described those porches as resembling, in its own words, a small penitentiary yard, not pasture. Second, that same Walmart market-side organic carton itself, which at the time read free to roam, nest and perch in a protected barn with outdoor access, language a court filing argued was misleading given what those hens actually had access to. Third, Herbrooks, another major egg operation supplying organic product documented in regional reporting as running organic hen houses spanning tens of thousands of square feet, stacked with multiple levels of metal shelving to fit as many birds as possible into the certified space, with outdoor access, again fulfilled entirely through attached porches rather than open pasture. 4th through 8th, and this is really the pattern, more than 5 separate individual stories, store brand, and private label organic eggs at most major national grocery chains are frequently sourced from these same large-scale industrial suppliers, repackaged under a retailer's own name. According to research published by the Cornucopia Institute, a farm policy watchdog that has surveyed and photographed a large share of certified organic egg production nationwide, the porches used to satisfy outdoor access requirements typically represent somewhere between 3 and 5% of the total floor space of the main barn, meaning the overwhelming majority of birds in those operations never actually reach the porch at all, let alone real ground. 9th, and this is a genuinely positive development worth knowing about, is the regulatory response itself. In 2023, the USDA finalized the Organic Livestock and Poultry Standards Rule, which specifically closes much of this loophole going forward, requiring that outdoor space for organic poultry be at least 75% soil and vegetation, not concrete and screening. That's a real meaningful tightening of the rule, and it's worth watching how quickly large operations actually comply as it phases in. Now here's what I want you to walk away with, because I don't want to leave you thinking the whole organic egg category is worthless. It isn't. It just means the word organic by itself, sitting alone on a carton, is telling you about the feed, not necessarily the hen's actual living conditions. And if outdoor space and natural behavior matter to you, you need to look for a second label alongside it, not just the green USDA seal on its own. Here are the two that genuinely held up when I checked how they actually operate. The first is Vital Farms out of Austin, Texas. The company built its entire public identity around transparency in exactly this issue, going as far as running live farm cameras so customers can see the actual pasture conditions their hens live on, specifically in response to the industry-wide porch loophole I just walked you through. Their standard requires genuine open pasture access, not a screened porch counted as outdoor space. The second is Pete and Jerry's, a company built around a network of more than 200 small family farms across the country. Their pasture-raised eggs are certified humane, a rigorous third-party audited standard, guaranteeing each hen a minimum of 108 square feet of actual outdoor pasture, room to forage, dust bathe, and socialize the way a hen naturally would. That 108 square foot figure isn't arbitrary either. It traces back to research from a sustainable farming organization in Britain that studied how much space a rotational pasture needs per bird to stay healthy without the ground getting stripped bare. Pete and Jerry's also sells an organic pasture-raised line that carries both certifications together, USDA Organic for the feed standard and Certified Humane for the actual space and outdoor access, which is honestly the combination I tell you to look for if you want both boxes checked at once. Here's the practical test I'd actually suggest doing yourself next time you're standing in the egg aisle. Don't stop at the green USDA organic seal alone. Look for a second independent certification next to it. Certified Humane Pasture Raised specifically is the one that actually guarantees real outdoor square footage per bird, audited by a third party rather than self-reported by the producer. Crack one open at home and look at the yolk. A deep gold or orange color is a genuine visible sign that a hen's been eating a varied natural diet with real access to forage, while a pale yellow yolk, even from a carton labeled organic or free range, is telling you something about how that hen actually spent her days. And if a carton's language is vague, free to roam, or protected barn with outdoor access, without a specific space number or third-party audit attached to it, treat that phrasing with the same skepticism you'd give any other food label that sounds reassuring but doesn't actually commit to anything measurable. I want to be fair to the large producers here too, because I don't think every operation using porches is acting in bad faith. Some of them are simply building to the letter of a regulation that, until recently, never spelled out a clear minimum. That's exactly why the 2023 rule change matters. It takes away the ambiguity that allowed this gap to open up in the first place. But until that rule is fully enforced across the industry, the label alone still isn't enough information to make the call yourself. You have to look a layer deeper. Here's the bigger point I want to leave you with, because it's the same one that keeps showing up no matter what product I'm looking into. A word like organic earns real trust from shoppers, and that trust gets built over decades by farmers who actually follow the spirit of the standard, not just the technical letter of it. When a small number of massive operations find the exact edge of what the regulation requires and build a business around it, porches instead of pasture, screened enclosures instead of open ground, they're not breaking the law, but they are spending down trust that the rest of the organic industry, especially the smaller family farms, actually doing this right, worked hard to build. Tell me in the comments what brand of eggs you've got in your fridge right now. I read every one of these, and I'd genuinely like to know how many of you had no idea the porch loophole existed until today. And if you keep your own hens or buy from a local farm stand, tell me what your yolks look like, because I bet a good number of you are already getting the real thing without ever needing a label to tell you so. Next time, I want to do the same test on milk, because grass-fed on a dairy carton has almost the exact same loophole hiding behind it. Until then, look past the seal, check the second label, and remember, if a farmer wouldn't recognize it as pasture, it probably isn't.